Do that. And let me get this to present. All right. Well, good morning, everybody. Today we're going to go over your 2025 marketing plans. My goal today is not to give you your entire plan within the next hour-ish, but to give you kind of a foundation of how to go about making your marketing plans for next year. There's a pretty vast range of people who've been in the business for closer to 20 years versus they've only been in the business for about 6 months now, who are here today. So I think it's important to kind of look at what's important for your business goals as of right now. I think it does start with your business plan. So some of you, if anybody attended Eric's class last week, he went over your business plan for 2025, what important things to include in it. And I think half of your business plan actually ends up being marketing, because all of your business is about how you're marketing yourself, how you're presenting yourself to people, and how you're following up with people in your marketing. So today's goal is to kind of establish a foundation and also make it unique to you, because I think marketing, there's a lot of different topics you can do in marketing, but it's going to be unique to whoever is the one marketing. So Yvonne's marketing is going to be Yvonne's, Tracy's going to be Tracy's, because it's you and it's unique to you. So that's just something to remember, is that these are all just ideas and these are all ways that you can market yourself, but ultimately at the end of the day, it's going to work with whatever works for your budget, whatever works for your audience, all those things. So yeah, let's get into it. So yeah, today's agenda, we're going to go over the first thing is your mission, vision, and values, how you're going to brand yourself. Secondly, we're going to go into what you're going to include in your calendar. What are some good categories to hit? Third, we're going to talk about how to execute it, because you guys might plan all day, and if you don't have any action, then you're not going to have any results. So that's a big part of the marketing plan. And then fourthly, we're just going to go over some marketing trends that I looked up that they're kind of predicting for 2025, what people are going to be attracted to, drawn into, and things that you might want to change for your marketing plans this next year. So I do think one of the most important things before jumping into your marketing is to understand your the foundation of who you are in real estate, and that comes down to your branding and messaging. Who you are as a realtor, that's defining your brand. And so we have a class on this if you want to go back into our YouTube Ken North YouTube channel, but it does talk about how to establish your own branding before you start marketing yourself. And I put this message in the bottom here saying, without having this as your foundation, you have no ground to market on. If you don't have who you are in real estate and what you do and why you do it, and the presentation, like your logos, your visuals, as far as fonts and colors, it's kind of hard to establish you in real estate. You're not John L. Scott. It's Yvonne Brink at John L. Scott Real Estate. So you have to understand how you're standing out, even from each other, because everybody has a different way of doing business. Not good, not bad, just different. And that makes it uniquely you, which the second one is defining your unique selling proposition. So this is just, how do you stand out from other agents? What is something that you do that you know other agents just don't do? Or what are some people that you've done business with that you're like, I'm just not that kind of agent, and this is why, and this is how I, service other people better than X, Y, and Z. You have to have consistent messaging when you're branding yourself. So at the core of who you are, you want to make sure that you're giving out the same message. I've passed this out a couple of times in different classes, but people on Zoom, I don't know if you've seen it before, but this content pillars page, this has been a really important part of like the consultations I've done here. And the idea is that you establish who you are in real estate. So maybe like the 5 main words or 5 key values that you want people to think of when they think of you in real estate. And then once you establish that as your foundation in your content pillars, you draw the actual pillars. So what kinds of content you're going to be creating for your marketing overall. I'm talking social media, your flyers, your brochures, your email campaigns, every avenue of content that you're putting out. This is where it starts, is figuring out your content and who you are and how your messaging is coming across. So people on Zoom, I'll send this out. If you do not have it, I can send it out to you. It is going to be on we're creating a marketing resources page on our website right now, which is under development, but this will be one that if you want to click download, print out and just kind of fill out yourself. It's a great way to brainstorm what kind of content you're going to be putting down that's unique to you. And I think that that's a really important part of knowing what the content pillars are for. Is this is not Quasi's content. This is going to be my content, the content that makes sense for my messaging, my branding, my people, your audience, and who you are in real estate. So I think all this really just have to start with making sure that you have these bullet points honed in on before you go into your marketing plan, because this is the foundation of who you are. And without that, you don't really have a lot to market on. So make sure you establish this before you jump straight into figuring out what you're going to do next year. The next part we're going to go into is what to include in your marketing plan. So the main things that I've broken it down into is you need to know the who, the what, the where, and the how. The who and the where is kind of, they're connected a little bit. So it just kind of sounds nice when you have all four of those, but we're going to go into what do I need to include in my marketing plan. So the who, you do have to understand who you're marketing to. Without having a place that you're marketing to, you're just kind of shooting in the dark, hoping that somebody will see some kind of nice flyer you send in the mail and they're going to happen to be selling their house and they're just going to happen to call you. So it really just have to be an intentional market that you're targeting. So if you've been in the business a while, you might have had audiences that you've been nurturing for a long time. And some people, I think, have credited that to being consistent, that they've gotten referrals and clients out of marketing to a certain area. It does take time though. It's a long game when you have an audience that you're honing in on, and maybe it grows and grows as you grow in real estate, but you're consistent with that market. If you're newer in the real estate business, you might be trying to figure out what audience you're looking at. And a lot of people will start with their own neighborhoods. If you've been in the business a long time, maybe that's something you haven't even touched on is your own neighborhood. Something we talked about last year is how big of a bummer it'd be if you saw your neighbor have a different sign in their yard besides yours. So if you're looking to identify a better target audience or nurture one that you've worked on in the past, it's just good to establish who you're talking to, because you don't want to be sending out maybe messages that are talking about moving or retiring to a non-55 and up community. It may not apply to the new up and coming development in Bonnie Lake that may not be applicable to them. So you have to make sure that you have the right who in your plan. The second to that is your database. So these are the people that you know, the people that you've already done business with, or maybe it's close family friends, people who have given you referrals even. You have to make sure that you have those people locked in as far as what messaging you're going to give them. And the third one, I talk about our local markets and their trends. So these are the people that you might be trying out a new market this year. You might be saying, I want to try out the neighborhood that's next to me, or an area that I actually travel to a lot. Like personally, I live in Tacoma, but I know a lot about Federal Way. So if I live in Tacoma, but I know that Federal Way is like back of my head market in Auburn area, maybe that's the market that I start to grow in my knowledge of even more so and start to market to next year. Because the people in the area, it doesn't have to be your neighbor. You just have to be the local expert that knows that market so well, they want to work with you. So understanding that the market you're in, researching them, and making sure you have a clear analysis of what they need to know and who those people are. The next part in that is the what. So now that you've established who you're marketing to, it's important to know what you're marketing. So these are the locations that you're marketing from. So of course, I'm going to put social media at the top, because social media, and we'll talk about this later, it's the driving marketing force. I went to an event last week and we talked about the media of the day, leveraging the media of the day, and how important it is to make sure that where you're marketing is the main media of the day, where everybody is at. The speaker, Jason Pantana, was talking about how Teddy Roosevelt back in the day leveraged the media of the day of newspapers, and that's what everybody looked at and looked to for information. So why not be in the source of all media? And that's how he gained top of mind presence. And so if we're not top of mind presence on social media, especially video, you're not leveraging the media of the day. And that's going to be a game changer when it comes to getting to that top of mind place for people. And yeah, making sure that you're in the right place at the right time. The second to that is offline media. So that's talking about direct mail, like letters, brochures that you're sending out to your people, flyers, door hangers, anything that's physical piece that you can give to people. Digital connections. So that's all your online presence, like your emails, your Google business, which we'll talk about a little bit later too, your website and other lead generation websites. So making sure that you're on like the homes.com, those kinds of places, and then your events. So this is planning out what you're going to be doing for the year as far as either hosting client events. And I know some of you may not be there, but some of you may be in the position to start hosting those past clients and that database that you've grown, and making sure that you're nurturing them. And that's through events, pop buys, and all those other avenues. But without having a plan of how you're going to do that, it's kind of difficult to nurture those people who've already given you business. So, I do have a handout that we're going to go into after we get through these 3 sections, but it's going to help you figure out a physical representation of all those things. Before I go to the next one, I do want to talk about digital marketing strategy. Because it's such a big deal, I think it's important to just highlight this on your own notes that this next year, something that will change your business is, I think, Google business, optimizing everything on there, and your social media marketing. Those 2 things are just the key ones that I really want people to be thinking about today when they are looking at their plan for next year. Is these are the 2 that are really going to be a game changer for a lot of people. Being top of mind, getting in the right place at the right time, whether that's in someone's email, on someone's feed, being a video that you scan a QR code on. These 2 are really going to change it. So make sure you are looking into Google Business. We just did a couple sessions on Google Business with Wendy Lunt. Really great stuff, very informational about the changes that have happened and the importance of being just clear on Google Business. And then social media marketing, we talk about a lot about it in the office, but there are a lot of great resources of like why you need to be using social media, but we'll talk about that later too, as far as the why. So how? So this is the one that I kind of wanted to, if you're in person, I think you already got one too. But the how of how you're going to actually put all this stuff together. I printed out, and I'll send this out an email for everyone online. But this is just a blank marketing calendar for a whole year. And the goal is to use this marketing calendar as a place to start brainstorming all the things that you want to do for a whole year. It's not in detail. It's just the things that you want to do with the categories that I kind of just gave as ideas. So I gave an idea that you might have January through December as the top part of your calendar. And on the left-hand side, you would have these different categories that you'd fill in for that month. So you would establish what social media you want to do for January, your emails, the campaigns, the neighborhoods that you want to market to, the database pieces that they're going to receive, the videos you're going to do for the month, your letter campaigns, all these different topics. And of course, online, I'll get it to you. But the idea is that for the whole year, you take, I don't know, might be an hour, 2 hours, just to really sit down and go through this calendar and fill it out to your unique, foundation of your business. So the idea is that you take the foundation of your business that we've talked about earlier, you create your content, and you plug it into each part of your marketing plan. And that will be different depending on what your goal is for the year, and your budget. I put budget on there because that's an important part of it. But you have to think about what makes sense for you, your time in your business, and your goals for next year. You have to have a clear expectation for yourself of, I want to make sure every month I'm meeting these categories and what I planned out for the year. And I think it's good to start now. Start with something you can look at, and then go from a yearly picture to a monthly calendar. So I usually would say go from your monthly calendar every year. And then what I would do is I would print out your calendar for the month. So I would say, okay, I know I have January coming up, but now I want to make sure I know what my month looks like. And this might be digital. Some of you might want to do this digitally too, but this is how like I would do it is I would make sure I have my yearly one out. I go on, it's January's next month. So I'm going to print out my January calendar for marketing, and I'm going to write out what I'm doing each month or each day within that month. So I'm like, okay, I know I have to get these things done. So when am I going to actually do these things? When am I going to prep for my video? When am I going to research the content for my email? When am I going to do it? Because you can say you're going to do it, and then you realize it takes way longer to do it in the moment, and you never do it. So the idea is that you have your big picture, then you go out to how you're feasibly going to get this done. And then I would go down to a weekly calendar. And this is a calendar that's saying, okay, Sunday through Saturday. This is like something I use for posts, but I'm going to go through this sheet to figure out what I'm going to do Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and the exact things I'm going to do for those posts or for that letter that I'm sending out or for that email that I need to be sent out. So the idea is that you're breaking it down, figuring out, okay, big picture, this is what I'm going to do for next year. December comes, you're going to print out your January calendar and say, this is what I'm going to do in January. And then January 6th comes and you say, okay, on January 6th, I'm going to make sure that I have my week figured out. Again, this all might be digital for you, but the idea is that it's in front of you and that you're doing it. I will say on this presentation, you'll see this word called time blocking. And that's just one that's really going to also change how your marketing plan is going to look, is because if you don't time block your marketing, you're not going to actually execute your marketing. Like you might get so many great ideas and so many great even connections with the audiences that you've grown. But if you don't time block these pieces that go out or your videos that are created, you're just going to be wasting your time with a lot of great marketing ideas, but you never actually get to the finish line with your marketing. And again, marketing is the long-term game as far as you're putting out marketing stuff every month and weekly and daily, and to hopefully gain traction of being top of mind for the people that you're around. But again, that comes with consistency and actually doing it. So one thing to think about while you're doing this is, when am I marketing starting in January? Or maybe it's December that you're starting this idea. Maybe you want to start doing it now and say, oh, I want to be set for the new year. But time blocking out your marketing for the week. You do it when you have appointments, you do it when you go to the gym, you do it when you go to the dentist, you time block that time to be at that place or with that person. So marketing, if that's half your business plan, why not time block it in your schedule to make sure that you can really fulfill all your goals next year? So one thing I do want to just kind of highlight is making sure you are budgeting and setting your marketing goals for next year. I know everybody's been in the business a different amount of time in this class, but it's good to know and have it written out what those goals are. And that may be kind of figuring out your marketing plan for the year, going down your yearly stuff, and then deep diving into what is this actually going to look like for me? What is the allocated cost that you're going to have for that month or months, and then total it up and see, can I do this? Does this make sense? One of the biggest things I've seen people do in a negative way is they spend a lot of money on something, and then they don't have enough, you could say, lead generation from what they spent money on. And then you're like, okay, why did I spend all that money? Well, you have to think, is the thing that I spent money on really a good way to market myself, or is it a waste of money because it's not something, it may not be something real estate related, it may be something that just went in someone's trash, and maybe something that had no call to action, so they got nothing out of it. It needs to be making sure that the pieces that you're putting out are worth the cost. I think a lot of people get butthurt when they don't have any retraction on 2 postcards they send out, but again, that's not going to maybe seal the deal because it's going to be the consistency of it. But you have to make sure that goes within your marketing budget for the year, and that you're not just spending money just to get it out there. You want to make sure you're providing value so that the money is well worth it. Because when people see value in their mail or in their email or on their social media feed or in that video, they're going to be attracted to that no matter what. So that video or that postcard could have been the $20,000 in return that you got, but until it's valuable, it will be a waste. So having those goals set will really help figure out, is this effective, and do I really want to put my money into it, because I do think that is a really important part of marketing, is making sure you're just not going like all in on something that may not be worth it at the end. So while you're making your plan, make sure you have those goals set. So I kind of want to go into the projected marketing trends for real estate in 2025. Before I do, I just want to make sure that you guys understand the recap of what we just talked about making sure you're setting your branding and values for the year. You're figuring out who you're marketing to, your target, and the people that you want to reach. You figure out where you're going to be doing that: social media, on your website, on your videos, on your flyers. And then you want to be executing it with a plan. And that may be your physical calendar or digital calendar, whatever it may be. You really have to, at the end of the day, make sure this happens by putting it on your calendar. So that's my last statement on your marketing plan of doing that. So projected marketing trends, while you're thinking about what to put in that calendar, I wanted to kind of show you what came up. So, and it's a little small, but I'll send this out too. So 2025, they've kind of found that the main driver of business will be AI, personalization, and what people are receiving. So that means people are expecting to get what they want on their feed, in their mail, on their phone, in their email. They want to see that personalized ad, that personalized piece of content for them. So that's going to be something helpful if you're seeking out clients before they even know they're going to be selling or buying. And that just might be from indicators through AI generated things. But I guess that's just the main one, is that's where the world is going. They're going to AI. All this data is being brought into these AI websites and resources, and they're saying, okay, here's your biggest lead through hearing indicators in their suite, whatever it is. AI is going to run it. So if you're not already leveraging something in AI and using that, it's time to do that. Second one is people are really wanting to see homes virtually. That kind of goes from maybe the VR, as in a walkthrough, like the Matterport walkthrough. And the third point, they're short form video. So they want to see something that's engaging versus read about something instead. They want to see it. It's kind of like they'd rather just read bullet points of something than read 2 paragraphs about a home. People want to see it fast. They want to see the value in it quicker to keep them engaged longer. That goes for videos and that goes for print media. People don't want to see words. They just want to see how they can get the most information in the shortest amount of way. So VR is going to do that, getting to click through the home. It's engaging. Third would be the short form video. This is going to be one I'm going to talk about in a second, but it's short form videos are going to sell a lot of homes and get a lot of leads next year. And that's showcasing listings you already have, going to an open house, and doing just general neighborhood highlights. Those short form videos are really going to help you become top of mind, because watch Wendy Lunt's video and other short form video ideas, but that's what goes to the top of the algorithm for everybody's social media. And of course, that's just the driving force of getting leads. Ask a friend who's on social media a lot. They've probably gotten 1 or 2 leads or 10 to 12 leads just this year by posting videos of their success. It's just what people want to see. And it's very possible to make social media and digital marketing your main lead generation source. The fourth one that it was talking about is sustainability and green building. So I guess people are looking at how they can be more eco-friendly, whether that's through like solar panels and technology saving stuff. People are interested in that this next year. So that might just be more of like where our world's at, of like, oh, I want to make sure I'm using things that are more efficient. But that is one people are looking and attracted to. A couple other ones, local and hyper targeted marketing. So these are hyper local things. Like I was hearing how hyper local short form videos, like if I went to the Renton Fairwood area and I did just a segment on all that Renton area and marketed only to those people in that neighborhood, they're going to be 10 times more engaged, because that's their actual neighborhood. That's their literal market that they drive through every day. So if you're doing market reports and blogging about just that specific area, and then let's say you do a paid ad for like $50 and you say, I want everybody in this area to see this for the next 2 months, you're going to get way more engagement and retention because it's literally about them. If I say, oh, welcome to Washington, well, that's like how many people in Washington you're trying to connect to, even though the weather, the market, the job market is different in very vast amounts of, even Washington. But even if you take the Puget Sound, for instance, if I say, oh, are you in the Puget Sound? And then I'm like, Bellevue versus Tacoma, very different markets. So going hyper local and targeting people with your information, like your videos, your emails, your text, whatever the follow-up is, and your marketing avenue is, it's going to be hyper local is really going to win as far as getting people engaged. You could have thousands of people watch one video and never get a lead from it, but have 500 people watch a hyper local video that are all in the area and then reach out to you because they found something that was important to them or value to them since it's their market. So sometimes being in that demographic, your geo-targeted areas are really going to be more impactful than trying to get more. In this way, it versus quantity versus quality. It's the quality will win versus the quantity of, who you're marketing to. Sixth thing on here is influencing using user-generated content. So this is talking about how to say, hey, I have maybe a vendor or someone that I work with that is really great roofer, and I would recommend them. Or I have a coffee shop in my local Renton area that I love to go to on my Monday mornings, blah, 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 blah. So this is content that people are going to engage with, that it's more organic, you could say, that's not as real estate focused, but you're coming from as a local realtor in the Renton area, I X, Y, and Z with this X, Y, and Z person. So those partnerships, I think, do attract people in because it's something that really see you. They see someone that has another, interest. Maybe they do connect to getting coffee instead of buying or selling a home, but you become more and more and more of the hyper local expert in real estate in the area, in the market. So it may not be the real estate expert at first, but you're the general market expert. And I think that's the message that you can start to leverage, is using the people in that area, the local shops, the local partnerships in that area to get that user-generated content. Seventhly, the SEO, we kind of talked about this, but it's just crazy how much stuff that you can make, that like videos and emails and all that stuff, that gets put in front of the right person at the right time just from using keywords and AI integration. So that'll be making, like it's saying, long form educational content, using pieces that are hyper local to that area, that really help figure out why people, should be watching your stuff. But then also it's going to help people with their searches already. So SEO, search engine optimization, they're taking pieces from like words that you're putting in stuff and making that content be known in their feed or known in their emails or known, in their ads. All that is interconnected. It's crazy how AI and all that data works, but making sure that you're using content marketing that is, relevant to who you're marketing to, back to who and where, those are really important to grow your SEO, because that goes everywhere. That goes in your Google, that goes in your feeds, everywhere. And then lastly, engaging with clients across multiple channels. This is making sure that they're seeing you everywhere. If you're just on Instagram, that's one thing, but most people have at least two ways of looking at social media. So they have Facebook, they have Instagram, they have TikTok, they have YouTube, they have LinkedIn, they have their emails, they have the internet to look at your websites. They have so many ways to see you. And so the goal is that you are creating your digital resume so that people can see who you are before they maybe reach out and why they should be influenced by you. A statement I put on here that I've really been loving lately is the goal is to influence them with your information instead of market to them for the sale. You don't want people to feel like they're being marketed to necessarily, but you want them to feel influenced by your information that you're providing. And I think that that really does make you stick out from another person, is that you might be more approachable with your expertise or your knowledge than feeling like you're being sold to, or are you buying and selling a home? Okay, great, to call me. Instead of a different message that might be a little easier to understand from a consumer perspective. And it might feel more of like, oh, I want to go to the person. I know she always posts about Renton area, and she knows everything about her home area. And I just stay in touch with her over some events she's invited me to in the area. So that might be more of how people are perceiving information versus being marketed to. So the idea is to influence them instead of just try to sell yourself to them. So one thing I really do want to talk about today is videos, because yeah, it's just one of those revolutions we've had in the last whatever years, 10 years, that even in the last 2 years has really changed as far as how people are wanting to be marketed to, how they are receiving information. 72% of people are wanting video more than text. They don't want to read. They just want to see the information and take it in and then go on with their day, or use that as a call to action for whatever they may need. So if you're not making videos in this next year, we were just talking about this event last week, that you will most likely fall behind in being a lead and getting leads and generating them from your already known sources. If you don't have a video process right now, that should be a really high priority just within this next year's change. I think the shift with like Gen Z coming to buy more homes, and even the younger millennials, all those people are people looking to buy, and the upper generation to sell. And obviously every generation is on, Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and YouTube. Everybody likes to look at videos to receive information. They're not going to a pamphlet to figure out how to install a dishwasher. They want to watch a video on how to do that. If they want to know how to sell a home in the least amount of days, they're going to go to YouTube to figure out the best ways to do that. So are you making videos and providing content that the consumer is looking for? Because all those things help gain traction as being the local expert or just the real estate marketing guru for everything they need. So videos will be winning next year. There's a couple ideas as far as let's see what you can be doing. I'll provide it here. So here's a couple ideas. They're probably nothing new that you've heard of, but I think one on here that I have been seeing pop up more in my own feed is the day in the life. People like seeing the authentic side of realtors doing what they love and why they do it. These two next to each other, behind the scene, day in the life, and then testimonial videos. People want to see what you do, how you do it, and then they want to see the success that you've done. So the testimonials of other people, and why they, love being, why they love being a part of your real estate transaction and whatnot. So I feel like that's a really important part, is to make sure that your video topics that you are talking about are ones that people are engaged in and ones that people are attracted to. But again, you're building your resume. You're giving them why they should be looking into you as a realtor, and providing them information and resources that make you valuable. Again, from the very beginning of your marketing plan, you're establishing why you stand out, why people should use you versus someone else. And I think it comes down to this. It comes down to having authenticity of who you are as a realtor, having proof that you are a good realtor from other people's views, and again, influencing them daily to know that you're the expert in real estate, that you know what you're talking about, you know the markets in this area, and you are the best real estate agent in the area, and how you're selling that. So video, yeah, it's going to drive business, I think, more in this next year than we've seen in the past. And so if you're not on video, you might get behind in those opportunities for getting easy leads that may have searched up a video of just like how to understand first-time home buying. And if you had a video on that, maybe your stuff would have come up in their feed. But until you get that established, you might be missing out on those opportunities. So I thought this was kind of interesting. I looked up what the number one reason people are unhappy with their realtor. Does anybody know? The number one reason people are unhappy with their realtor. Why would they want to switch realtors or leave their current agent? This is just the one that's the most recent. What would you say?
Communication.
Lack of communication? Anybody else? Anybody agree? Lack of communication, Yvonne Bring.
Exactly like that.
Lack of communication. She knew it. A lot of people just want to be communicated with. They want to be fully communicated to. And I think that they want to be communicated to before the transaction, in the transaction, and after the transaction. So why not try to get their attention using your marketing efforts in all three phases of those, even before they're your client and when they're your past client. All that communication, I think, comes down to, there's like a normal way of communicating in transaction, but before and after, all that is still marketing. You're still presenting yourself and to them before they may know they're buying and selling, why they should be convinced that they should buy and sell with you, and then after, why they should continue to buy and sell with you, and why they should continue to refer you to other people. And so I think at the end of the day, it comes down to communication and how you're communicating yourself to those people. Marketing is just communicating your message, is communicating your brand, and yourself. So if that's what they want, you should be doing that. You should have a great effort to be the realtor that stands out, that says, I will communicate with you from day one of working with you, before that day one, and then after day 30, and following up with them. So just something to think about as far as the priority here is, if you don't want to be just grouped in with all those other real estate agents who people complain about, do what they're not doing. Communicate to them even more than the last agent they worked with, or more than the last bad experience they had. Show them why you're different from everybody else. So again, personal engagement matters. That goes with the communication, but a lot of these strategies, you can say, oh, well, AI is gonna whatever, and I can't it's just gonna run everything. That's not true. AI is not gonna run everything, because AI can't replace you. It can't replace your knowledge. It can't replace you physically being there in front of people, you networking, you being within your community. AI doesn't have the face, but you do. You have the face that's going to change how your marketing approach is. So when you're thinking about your marketing plan for the year, think about making sure that it's not just the emails that you're sending out or the graphic posts you're putting on Instagram. Engagement will come from it being you, personal, in front of them, or acting like you're in front of them, which is through video. They want to see something that is engaging, that is personable. And the two main things will be actually being with them at community events, pop buys, your own events. That's going to be personal. And second one will be videos. People, when they see a video of someone and they follow someone, it's like they know someone. So the more videos you watch of somebody, like if you watched movies before, if you watched videos, that if you subscribe to someone's YouTube channel, you feel like you know that person the more you watch them in movies, or the more you watch them in that series on YouTube, is because it feels like you're being talked to by them, because you see them, you see their body language, you hear their tone of voice. It's all those things that feel personal, even though you may have never met that person. It feels like you know them already. I've even heard this from kids who game, like they're gaming and they hear each other's voice and they play with each other, but they've never seen each other, but they have online friends, because even that is still engagement and in relationship building. And so what does relationship building do? It provides the like, no, trust mentality, is that they like you because they already feel like they're getting something out of you. And then they start to know you better as, you engage with them, and then they start to trust you because of the first two. So that really, really does matter. Second one I want to put in here as just a recap is being flexible to change and adapting quickly. I think there will be a lot of change even with the AI stuff. And there's always change within your marketing plans. So just being flexible to whatever that may be. And if you need help within the next year, of course, like we're here, Tony's here, myself is here as your marketing gurus to help you if you are like, okay, I don't know why this approach isn't working. I don't know if I need to do something different. Don't be afraid to ask to see how those things can change for better. And the third thing I wanted to state is consistency is key. Everybody says this, but really, if you don't have a way to fully execute your plan with the right information and then just do it really good for January and February, and then I see you back in November of 2025 and say, I don't know why it didn't work. Well, if you weren't consistent with it, you probably didn't get any good fruit out of it because you didn't do it enough. You didn't get that consistency down. So then that algorithm that you were working so hard to put out for your social media, it fell because you only did it for 2 months and then you slacked off. So that all come down to really time blocking, having your marketing plan locked in, putting it on your calendar. I mean, I don't even know if this is, I don't think it's weird, but if you want to get accountability for that, and you're like, hey, Makenna, can you make sure that like I'm doing this? I was talking to people about saying, hey, if you need accountability, find a friend in the office to say, all right, we're doing marketing every 2 weeks, this day, this time for an hour. Don't let me not do it, or else, I owe you lunch, whatever it is. Whatever it makes sense for you to stay accountable to really making sure you're prioritizing your marketing this next year, I would do every effort to do it because it is something, if you don't have it consistently being done, you won't get the actual fruit out of it that you want. Your goals will not be met and you're going to be left trying to figure out what you should do to change it. You might have a perfect marketing plan for next year that would work for your audience and what you do, but without doing it, you won't get what you want out of it. You won't get the leads that you want. You won't get the relationships that you've desired to build on. So consistency is key. So these are your challenges for this year. So the people on Zoom, writing out what your marketing strategies you'd like to do for your 2025 business plan. If you haven't worked on your business plan yet, you should be because 2025 is, I don't even know, like less than 90 days away. I don't know how many days, but it's 60 something coming up. So you should be working on your business plan for next year, what your goals are, your personal goals, your professional goals, your budgeting, all those things. Establish a time and place to figure this out. You're going to need that. Start in December. Again, if you want to start in December as like your rough draft of what 2025 will look like, it's sometimes better to start your New Year's resolutions in December so that January you're like, okay, fine tune what I didn't do well this month and let's start the new year right. And lastly, ask for help. We're here as your resources here at Kent North to help you excel and elevate your marketing strategies. And we want you to feel like you can succeed in those things. So ask for help from us if you need those things and figuring out your content, figuring out your calendar. I do consultations like this. So if you haven't had a consultation with me, I'll help you figure what this would be out for yourself to some extent. And I also, if you're not in person today, I do have a guidelines sheet while you are creating your marketing plan. It is a advertising guidelines, what to know before marketing. This is from the DOL for Washington. These are guidelines before going on social media or using logos and stuff. It's a guidelines from the DOL what you can get fined for if you don't have these things in place. So general advertising rules, social media rules, using another broker's listings, using photos, creating a business name or logo, and fair housing compliance rules. So I'll send this out too. This is just a summary from their information, which I have a little QR code that takes you to like this full packet of information. They have several sheets on like what you need to know. So don't get in trouble when you are marketing. Know your state and know the rules before you get, vested into getting a really cool idea and then realizing it's against the law. So just wanted to kind of throw out there. But I really hope you guys got some takeaways and some ideas for your marketing plan today that you're feeling like ready to start getting some things brainstormed down in your on your calendars, that you're feeling like I need to get my process checked, and also just feeling like I really need to prioritize my marketing for this year, because without having your marketing plan and your video plans that you're going to be doing within that, I do think you're going to feel a little bit behind without getting that locked in. So, is there any questions or thoughts for today? Anyone?
I have a question.
Yes.
I'm not sure if you know it or if Tony knows it, but I was it was shared with me a while ago though that if the listing is in-house, that we can use that, we can advertise that listing because it's in-house.
Like in our Kent North office?
Yes. Is that still correct?
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to double check.
Yeah, if it's within the Kent North John L. Scott office, you can promote their listing. If it's someone from Keller Williams in Federal Way, that's different because they're not a part of our office. So that is in here and in the full guideline of needing written permission for those things before posting stuff. I think people kind of been flexible with that, and we're like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. It will be that big of a deal though if somebody, you get a listing agent who's not happy that you're using their photos, or yeah, that it can get a gray area pretty fast. So
I'll chime in on that real quick, McKenna. I think that it is, even though you can do that and advertise, it is still a good idea to reach out to our own listing brokers who are in the office if you're going to advertise it, and just kind of get the permission. It's always a good idea to do that.
I have a question. I have two questions. What if, like, what about on stories? You know how sometimes we're like walking through, like showing this house, and then it disappears. So we're not supposed to do that either.
according to what they put on here, like anything that is advertising a property that puts out, I mean, anything about the property, if it's not within our office, there should be permission to be able to promote that property or advertise that property. Because a lot of times I've seen like video walkthroughs, and I've even encouraged it to get video walkthroughs of other people's homes because it's free reign. But you have to do that by getting permission of any video, even if you're in the video or whatnot, of, hey, I can promote your property and use the things inside the property as advertising for myself and for you. So it's been a very, I think, loose rule, like in some ways, and some people are like, oh, it's just a quick click, whatever. But if you get the wrong listing agent saying, hey, you can't like take videos or take my photos to put on your story, then that could be an issue, because they know that your story happened. Even if it does disappear, it's still video advertising. Like you couldn't put a house on your story that's not listed or like not on the market yet, because technically that's pre-advertising. So that would be the same for in-house, like for the open house.
Yeah. So I will say something on that also too, before make sure everyone gets clear. That we have actually had complaints filed. We've had other brokers get turned in from their stories. They'll record their screen and then they send that to turn you in. So you got to be very careful with that and get permission.
I have a question because I do it. So when I'm like taking pictures, the day of photos, I'll put in my story, hey, taking photos, it's coming soon. I can't tell you where it's at or where the details are, but just stay tuned. So are we not supposed to, we can't do that either? Like, I thought as long as you're not saying, where is the house at or the price, like we're not giving any details. We're just saying, hey, we're getting ready for the market.
Yeah, it's okay to kind of say, hey, I'm working on my new listing, getting things ready. You can't mention anything in the city, area, nothing. What price point, anything that's going to give a hint. We've actually had someone get a fine selling their own house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because they showed pictures.
Yep. They showed where it was and they talked about it like a little bit more, for community and stuff like that, for people to reach out. So any pre-marketing at all will get you fined.
Because I always but I put it on my story, or I'll do like a sneak peek and I'll take like 3 or 4 shots, but I don't say the location, the price, how many bedrooms. I don't say anything.
Yeah. It can be all
vague.
Yeah,
As
I think
long as it's
it,
vague.
like I think it's safe to put like interior things. Anything exterior of the home is kind of giving away where the home could be because someone can recognize the neighborhood. A drone shot could see the water, so then people will inquiry about those things. So I would stick to interior behind the scenes or sneak peek stuff. But anything that shows any of the outdoors and stuff, I just feel like that you're getting kind of into the gray area where people could start to inquire about you pre-marketing a certain area and then yada yada yada. So I think interior ones are better to do if you are doing the like those little, hey, coming up, I have this beautiful home. It's we're getting excited. That's it. That those are fine if it's like you're in the kitchen kind of deal or looking at the bedroom, but anything outside, I think that's where it gets a little dicey because people can recognize the area and then be like, hey, before you go on the market, isn't that in Redmond? And then you're gonna have to be like, well, like so it can get a little, yeah. And then people have gotten obviously in trouble for doing that. So,
There's always a
And are you
Karen
going
out
to
there
email
who
that
wants
to us?
the guidelines.
Yes.
Yeah, I have a broken down one, and then I have a QR code or link to the actual full guide that Eric sent. So
Awesome. Thank you.
yeah, I think with video, it was kind of just, yeah, people are very loose with stories, especially because they disappear, but then they never really truly disappear, especially if people get upset with screen recording stuff. That's all free reign. So you just don't want to get in trouble with those, instances. And especially since they're so fast and easy, that's the hardest part is that you can just like put up a post and it's so fast and easy, but now people are going to start cracking down on, their advertising and whatnot. So especially since everybody's digital now. That does include using people's printed flyer, like on flyers too, using their photos. Anything besides the front photo on another agent's listing needs to be approved in written form.
Yeah.
If it's somebody in the office, obviously we said, it's okay, but still get some type of permission from the person in office. Yeah, it's just courtesy to do so. If there is something, it just might be not okay for a certain seller even. So, yeah, that just might be something to make sure in the office you're clearing, but outside of the office, anything outside the front photo is really not free game. You have to get written permission to use those things.
I have a question because I remember we used to do photos, use other agent front photos. And I believe something came out that said we could no longer use their front photos. Especially because we were doing it when we were doing market updates in the community, whatever. We were told we had to use the address and not their photos. But you're saying it's okay to use their front photos. Did I just
from the Northwest MLS, the front photo is the only photo you can use. But what you're saying,
well, in our marketing, I'm trying to understand.
like if you have a flyer and you're using like a print, like let's say you're hosting an open house, you can only use the front photo unless you've gotten permission to use other photos. The front photo is the Northwest MLS's right to, advertise.
Right. This weekend, I did an open for a different brokerage and I asked permission from that listing agent and the seller, and he sent me the photos they would like me to use.
Yeah. So that's
what Makenna's talking about is the MLS. Northwest MLS has a rule that you may use the primary photo. The main thing that it tells you how you can get permission to use that is for CMAs, for items like that you are publishing and giving to someone else. You're totally allowed to do that. But if you're doing an open house for another broker and they grant you permission to go do it, then definitely that's the right thing to do, Elise, is to reach out to that broker and if you find out what photos, because we've actually had a complaint in the past from someone else that said, hey, I didn't give permission for this broker to use all these photos, and they actually put together a better flyer that they had than that they even created for their seller. So the seller was like, hey, how come you didn't do this? And so the seller got mad at their agent. The agent got mad at our broker. So they tried to complain. So we worked out, that whole mess. But it's stuff like that it's always good to get in permission in writing. So send an email, say, hey, can you grant me permission to print, flyers of the listing? Even if you're hosting it for someone else, you just don't want that coming back.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. It's really important to know, especially like video stuff. being mindful of that. I guess print stuff's even easier because it's physically there and someone can go home with it and be like, now you got like physical proof. So knowing those things is like, yeah, it's going to be important so you don't get fined and Eric doesn't have to hunt you down after getting the complaint. Are there any more questions about that or?
Good information.
Yeah. So, well, we're about time. So I hope everyone got something out of their marketing plan and they're starting to get some ideas going. Again, get somebody you know in the office or your coach that you're using, or even ask me if you're like, hey, I really need to make sure I'm doing this every month, getting my marketing together, my videos on point, whatever, just get recorded and posted. Make sure you have accountability this next year because that's where people fall out the most is February comes around, March, and you're not excited anymore for your New Year resolution of marketing. So make sure you stay accountable to that and have a plan. Yeah, I think that's it for today. Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
All right. See you guys later.
Thank you.
Mhm.